من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته لا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله وأحسن هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة كل ضلالة في النار. We continue Kitaab At-Tawheed on this day of Friday, December 28th, 6:54 p.m., 2018, which, oh, please don't let this thing come on. Which agrees on the Hijri calendar, which is the 20th night of Rabi' al-Thani, year of 1440 after the Hijrah, after the migration of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. We continue the chapter of we continue in the book Kitaab At-Tawheed, the book of monotheism, which is the most important affairs that the Muslim can understand and comprehend and study. Rather, this is the most ashraf ilmin ala al-itlaq. It is the greatest and most honorable knowledge in absolute all cases. There's no knowledge greater than the knowledge we're studying right now, as every other knowledge branches off from this knowledge, especially Kitaab and Sunnah. And there's no rectification of the servant in this world is on the hereafter except by this knowledge what we're studying right now. So one should feel proud that Allah Ta'ala gave him tawfiq to be amongst those who are allowed to sit in these gatherings where one is able to attain insight in these matters in preparation for meeting his Lord. For verily, like we said, the most greatest and most honorable of affairs and duties that one can perform is to increase himself in knowledge of Allah Ta'ala and His Tawheed and His monotheism and have an insight in that. And also what nullifies it or taints it from pertaining to polytheism and what branches off from it. So one has to be very grateful that he has masajid which he can study these particular matters. And he'd be grateful that Allah Ta'ala was given tawfiq, where you'll find that a lot of the Muslims are in darkness. A lot of them are in darkness, and a lot of them are involved in matters which totally is strange. If you was to go to some masajid and you was to study this knowledge and be around the people of the truth and then go to those other places, you'll feel totally out of place. You'll feel like a stranger in comparison to what they're upon and some of the things that you hear and what some of the things they do. So for one, like we said, Ya Ma'ash al-Ikhwa, this is a tremendous matter that we study these matters of Tawheed and study in the book of the great Imam Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah. So he said the new chapters, we already started from last class. It says Bab. Pay attention, Aaron. Pick up your book. You got Sharon? I'm going to tell him to sit right next to me. Where you going, Camden? Where you going? Huh? I wouldn't mind if you'd have ripped it. Could have gave it to him. I just need you to focus. Just focus. طيب. The chapter which comes in Bab ما جاء أن سبب كفر بني آدم وتركهم. Where's Ebi? Where's Ibrahim? He's out behind the chairs. Oh, he's in the office. طيب. He said جاء سبب كفر ما بني آدم وتركهم دينهم والغلو في الصالحين. The chapter which comes and the reason for the disbelief of the children of Adam and leaving off their religion is them being what? Al-Ghulu, extremism in regards to the righteous. extremism in regards to the righteous. So this is the new chapter where we started. We said that Shaitan has utilized this trick from the time of old, all the way up to this time, or these trying times that we live in which you see that Shaitan has still used the same tricks to misguide the people till they fall into extremism. So you said you'll find that the great Imam that he titled the chapter Bab, what comes that the reason for the disbelief for the children of Adam, the reason, what made them fall into disbelief? What do you mean? What do they mean by that? Meaning that the affair, like we said at one time on this dunya, there was a time after Adam was removed from paradise and he was put in this world of Dar al-Ibtila, or the world of trial and tribulations. We know that everyone was upon Tawheed. That there was from the time of when Adam was removed out of Jannah, all the way up to the first messenger at that time, who was Nuh. Between Adam and Nuh was the Ashratu Qurun. Between Adam and Nuh was 10 centuries. And we say, as it comes in the tafsir, كلهم كانوا على التوحيد. That between Adam and Nuh, Prophet Noah, as they translate, between them was 10 centuries. He says there was nothing but monotheism. That the people were unified in their worship. There was no other creeds. There was no other convictions. There wasn't any other beliefs. There wasn't any other methodologies. Everybody was unified upon one belief that Allah is the only one deserves to be worshipped. All of them were upon monotheism. All of them were upon a correct belief. And everyone was unified. And even Allah Ta'ala said in his book, He says, كَانَ النَّاسُ أُمَّةً وَاحِدًا فَبَعَثَ اللَّهُ النَّبِيِّينَ مُبَشِّرِينَ وَمُنذِرِينَ. That Allah Ta'ala said in his book, that He said that the people were one nation. If you look to the tafsir of it, meaning one nation, meaning that they were upon one belief. They weren't upon different creeds, different beliefs, different systems, different protocols, different this, different that. They were all united upon one belief, one conviction. So you'll find that the ayah clearly shows that unification comes unification, or true unification, or legislated correct unification, becomes based upon what? Everyone being unified upon one creed, one belief system. Not different creeds, not different methodologies. As you'll find some Muslims propagate, you'll find this is what they spread. That we believe that everyone is upon the truth. And that there's different what? Different truths. Everyone, that the truth is plural. Rather, Allah has refuted this nonsense in His book. Allah Ta'ala said that the unification of the people for 10 centuries was based upon them unifying Allah in His worship. That is what unified the people, and then Allah described them as being ummatan wahida, one nation, meaning that they were united. What was that made them united? Except that their creed was what? Was one. It was unified in the worship of Allah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, but when the true ikhtilaf, people started differing when polytheism came into the picture. Polytheism was what caused what? Separation, division, and bickering and arguing amongst the people. So unification came based upon Tawheed, and unification in the belief system. And ikhtilaf, Allah described it as what? When people started differing in those matters, when polytheism crept in, and when they started changing the legislations of Allah Ta'ala and trying to alter them or warp them or manipulate them to what suits their desires. That's where Allah described that as ikhtilaf, of that being what? Different. So after what happened with Nuh, as we know, Allah Ta'ala, He sent, when polytheism crept in the earth, and it also affected the people, Allah Ta'ala, as we know, sent messengers of prophets, mubashirina wa mundhirin. He spent them giving glad tidings and also giving them warnings for those who disobey the warning. During that time, you'll find, like we say, Ya Ma'ish al-Ikhwa, notice that the Imam used at the child's chapter, what does it say? What caused Bani Adam to fall into disbelief? Or the children of Adam, the reason for them, well, one of the reasons they left off their religion, meaning left off what was correct. You left off what was monotheism. Was the affair of what they call ghulu. Ghulu. And we know ghulu means extremism. Extreme. And we said them going to the extreme and the righteous. So this was a trick or hila shaytaniyya iblisiyya from the time of old. It was a satanic iblis methodology in which shaitan utilized from the time back then and of today. There's no different. As we talked about last lesson, and we said that during the ghulu, and keep in mind, like we said, shaitan, from the tricks of Iblis, is that he wants the children of Adam to fall into something either from the aspect of ghulu or the aspect which is the opposite of ghulu, which is called jafa. Either get him to fall into ghulu, extremism, or get him to fall into what they call jafa, being lax. Jafa. Jafa meaning lax or negligent. So either being in a state of extremism, being in that state, or in the extreme, or another opposite side, if you want to say for lack of better words, like an opposite side of the extreme, which they call jafa, which is being in the highest form of what? Of what they call jafa. Jafa meaning being negligent, or what they say being lax. So shaitan either wants the Bani Adam to fall in one of those two things. Never to be moderate in his belief system, or never to be moderate in his actions. Always wanted him to fall either coming up, being too extreme, or being too hot, if you want to say, or being too cold. Either being too hot or being too cold. And shaitan doesn't start off with the actions. He starts off with the belief system first. And he comes at the people and the children of Adam in that aspect first. And you'll find, as we'll talk about in the story what happened with Nuh, that shaitan is patient. He'll put the seed in and plant it, and he'll wait for it to grow. Even if one generation doesn't fall into polytheism, it might take one people or a century of people, or even a certain time where people die off. Then the righteous die. Then when the knowledge is forgotten, then that's when what? Polytheism crept in. So let you know that shaitan is also patient. He's not hasty in getting people to fall into the worst humiliating sin that the human being could commit. He's very patient. And this is what happened with the people of Nuh. Because their people were righteous. But when they died and the knowledge was forgotten and it became, whereas the people started leaving it off, that's when they started worshiping other than Allah. So it lets you know that clearly that shaitan is not hasty. He's patient. And if not one generation will not worship him or worship the idols and fall into polytheism, then the next generation maybe might will. And like we said, that shows that shaitan is not hasty. If it's not one generation, he can get to fall into shirk, maybe the next generation. Or maybe the generation after that. And so on and so forth. So he said, Ya ma'ashal ikhwa. So we talked about the ayah. If you look in your books, we already discussed the meaning of the ayah. Allah wa ta'ala says in his book, Ya ahl kitab, la taghlu fi dinikum, wa la taqulu ala Allahi illa al-haq. إنما المسيح عيسى ابن مريم رسول الله وكلمته ألقاها إلى مريم وروح منه فآمنوا بالله ورسله ولا تقولوا ثلاثة انتهوا خير لكم إنما الله إله واحد سبحانه أن يكون له ولد له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وكفى بالله وكيلا. Where Allah Ta'ala says in his book, where he says, O people of the book, do not go to the extreme in your religion. So Allah Ta'ala is talking about the Christians and the Jews here in this context. He's saying, do not go to the extremes in your religion. Verily, Jesus, the son of Mary, is the messenger of Allah. And he's his word that was cast in Maryam, and the spirit from him. So believe in Allah and his messengers, and do not say three. Refrain from doing that. That is better for you. Verily, Allah is only one deity worthy of worship. Glory be to him that he have children. To him belongs everything in the heavens and the earth, and Allah suffices as a wakil, as a trustee. So you find, Ya ma'ash al-ikhwa, this is another ayah where Allah Ta'ala clearly shows, and firstly, reminding everyone what we always put emphasis on, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his book is refuting falsehood and laying down what's the clear truth. That is all throughout the book of Allah. And one needs to realize that the Quran is filled with refutations against falsehood. The type of falsehood, number one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is refuting extremism. Extremism and the what? As we discussed last class, extremism could be in beliefs or in statements or in belief. But the most dangerous is in belief. The most dangerous is in belief. As we'll talk about how similar to what happened to the Jews and the Christians is similar to what happens to a lot of Muslims these days. Especially the Sufiya. Especially those who are upon Mashayikh al-Turq al-Sufiya. Except those who are upon what they call Sufiya or mysticism, for lack of better words. For those with the ways of mysticism, which is the deviant sect, in which ma'ashal ikhwa Allah, I swear by Allah, if you brothers was to read some of the books of Sufiya, it's as if it's another religion. As if it's a total different, it's like a whole nother religion. With just the word Islam on top of it. That's it. And maybe the people they manifest looking like a Muslim. But if you read the i'tiqad and the belief system of the Sufiya, it is as if it's a total different religion. And if our brothers bring, and I will bring some of it, of some of the statements of Sufiya, brothers, like I said, I gave you some of the examples, and some of the brothers that I heard, they was like, they believe that? Yes, they believe that. Certain statements we'll talk about, inshallah. For example, how they worship Ibn Arabi. They do worship him. They worship Ibn Farid. They worship these people. Worship human beings. Why? Because they believe that Allah is the creation, and creation is the one with Allah. To the point where they're even idols. To them, it's still Tawheed. Worshiping idols is Tawheed. Yes. And Allah, if you worship a female, do nasty things with a female, you doing things with Allah. Why? Look at your faces. Why? Because the creation is one with Allah, and Allah is what? One with the creation. You understand what they call wahdatul wujud? If you read some of the foul, nasty, pathetic things that these people believe, it's as if it's a total different religion. A person would want to throw up than to be a Sufi. He would want to throw up than the person. That's the reason why people would say, why are you so hard when Jama'at al-Tabligh came in the masjid? Because I know what those people believe. I know the filth they believe. Filth. Filth that not even the kufr, like we talked about, just like what Shaykh al-Islam mentioned about Ibn Arabi, he said he came with kufr, not even a kuffar Quraysh fell into. Not even a kuffar Quraysh fell into it. And you heard some of the statements I just made. That right there, even a kuffar Quraysh didn't believe that. That Allah is one with the creation is one with Allah. These are things that even a kuffar Quraysh during the time of the Prophet ﷺ didn't even believe this. They didn't believe it at all. To let you know that there's something totally different. I'm going to bring some of the statements, don't worry. And to show you how it is very important in these days and times to know the different types of jahiliyat. Not the Muslims. We're not talking about Islam. We know that Islam will never, ever disappear from the earth. And if it does, it's totally removed from the earth, that's when the day of resurrection is going to be established. Once the people of Tawheed is removed, once the Quran is removed, that's when the day of resurrection will start. But other than that, there will always be a group from those who are upon the correct way that will always what? Remain. Calling to which the truth remaining firm upon it until the affair of Allah comes. And that is the affair when that wind or what that fire from Aden, from Yemen, that Allah will send this wind and will take up all the people who even have an Adam's weight of faith, and there will be nothing left except the people shirk on the earth, and that's when the day of resurrection will start. But other than that, in regards to now, it's incumbent upon the Muslims to know what's the different types of jahiliyat that are out there. Not with the Muslims, not Islam. We're not talking about that. The three main type of jahiliyat that everyone needs to realize that you need to learn, not only just the truth of Tawheed and just learn Sunnah. You need to know what's shirk, what's bid'ah. Those affairs are jahiliyat. They're jahiliyat. They are the type of jahiliyat that has affected the Muslims. Like we're talking about, we do not say out of our mouths that the Muslims are living in the state of jahiliyah. You do not make a general statement like that. That necessitates you're making kufr upon the Muslims. Is it clear what I'm saying? That all of the Muslims are in jahiliyah. That's the statement Sayyid Qutb. That all of their masajid are ma'abid jahiliyah. All of their places of worship are places of jahiliyah. That's making takfir of all the Muslims. We're talking about the corrupted belief systems that the Muslims believe is a type of jahiliyah. What are they? Number one. The three main things that have now plagued the Muslims, which is a type of Jahiliyyah, number one was Ilm al-Kalam. Ilm al-Kalam. Ilm al-Kalam, which is of speech, or the philosophical belief system, or if you want to say, Ilm al-Mantiq, of logic and rhetoric, and of the Ilm al-Mantiq, or Ilm al-Kalam, or Ilm al-Falsafa. I know it in English. Know it in Arabic, but I can't remember the English, right? Ilm al-Mantiq, which is what? Which is logic. Ilm al-Mantiq. Al-Mantiq. Logic. Ilm al-Kalam is the knowledge of rhetoric. Ilm al-Falsafa, which is what? Which is philosophy. Jazakallah khair. Which is philosophy. That's a type of Jahiliyyah that you need to know is Jahiliyyah, that you'll find that the Muslims were affected with. That's number one. The Ilm al-Kalam, the Ilm al-Mantiq, the Ilm al-Falsafa. Those is a type of Jahiliyyah that you need to be aware of so you can avoid it. Not learning it to be amazed at it. Learning it so you can know it's evil, so you can know to stay away from it. Is it clear what I'm saying? That's one of the main types of Jahiliyyah that affect the Muslims. The second type of Jahiliyyah is the Jahiliyyah of Sufiya. Jahiliyyah to Sufiya. The Jahiliyyah of what the Sufis believe. The Jahiliyyah of what the Sufis believe. It's another type of Jahiliyyah. To believe that Allah is one with the creation is one with Allah, to the point where you worship people or worship idols and say that's Tawheed. That there's no such thing as polytheism when you worship idols because Allah is one with everything. So you can worship idols. Yes, they allow you to worship idols. You can worship people. You can worship things. You can even worship women. You could do a lot of different things. Now, I'm going to bring some of the statements. You can worship all these things because Allah, as they say, huwa ayn al-khalq. Al-khaliq huwa ayn al-makhluqat. Allah, the Khaliq, He is exactly what's the creation, and the creation is Allah. Rather, you'll find that Ibn Farid, as I'll talk about inshallah, and Ibn Arabi, who they worship, says that Allah is in need of the creation. It's a lot of things they say. Like I told you, it's like a whole different religion. They say that Allah is in need of creation. Muftaqirun ila al-khalq. If I get to the side of the book, if I was to read these two books would be enough for one out of all the other books that's out there. These two books, what I'll tell you guys, what I want to show everyone and read some of the excerpts of it, and some of the parts of it. These two books right now will give you enough insight to let you know what Sufi is. So enough for you to want to vomit when you read some of the ideologies they believe. You will want to literally vomit of some of the nasty, filthy, pathetic things these people believe. And I'll read some of it to you. Don't worry. But at any rate, that's the second type of Jahiliyyah that you need to know so you can avoid it and stay away from it. That's another type of Jahiliyyah that the Muslims have that has affected them. And the third type of Jahiliyyah is the knowledge of Qanun, which is in regards to what? Legislation and laws. Where you find that a lot of the Muslims are involved inside of democracy, and a lot of them are involved in other types of ideologies to so-called run their lands, which is in regards to democracy or now trying to incorporate communism or these other different types of corruptive systems that also likewise corrupt the demands of the Muslims. So number 3 is what they call ilm al-qanun. If you want to say knowledge of what's pertaining to what's pertaining to legislation and what's pertaining to different types of sanctions or what governs a land or runs a land. So that's another type of Jahiliyyah, where the people need to know that democracy is a type of Jahiliyyah. The type of Jahiliyyah also of democracy. Democracy. Or letting, as they say, power to the people. Letting the people be the ones who dictate what governs the lands. The laws of the land are made by the people. Power to the people. SubhanAllah, how is it that you now can gather a group of systems of people based upon how many different beliefs they have, and how many ideologies they have, and how many different types of people there are? Some people are truthful, and you have people who's upon nifaq, You got people that's upon ilhad. You got certain people that disbelieves in Allah. There's certain people that don't even believe that Allah exists. And then you have people who are liars, and that people have different types of motivated or concealed type of if you want to say, ulterior motive for certain things. Certain people are liars. Bring them all in one room and decide what's befitting for everyone. Does it make any sense? You want to gather a group of people in a circle. Certain people, he's a Buddhist. He's a communist. He doesn't even believe Allah exists. He doesn't believe Allah exists. Some people is agnostic. That person is a Marxist, liberalist, you name it. They all come together and they decide what's befitting for everyone. And despite that, everyone, Allah Ta'ala, has given everyone a what? A mind of their own to choose what they think is best and suitable for people. And Allah Ta'ala has made this for everyone, to have their own mind. So everyone in that room is going to think in their own mind of what's suitable for people. And you know that more than likely there's going to be some type of what? Argumentation, bickering. There's no getting around it. So Allah Ta'ala removed us from that. Removed Ahl Sunnah, and He's the one that legislated the laws. To keep that type of bickering or argumentation amongst the people put in its place where it doesn't even have a place at all. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? So you find that we said democracy in itself, as we'll talk about in the class when it comes, inshallah, it was a move that was made by the secularists. The secularists came up with this so-called system. You'll find that it was made in order to separate the people and cause what? It caused division amongst the people. How many times do you find to this day, if you go on to even YouTube or some of their channels, where the Republicans are debating with the what? The Democrats. And the Democrats are so-called what? Debating with the Republicans, and they're criticizing each other, and one is patronizing the other, and the one is saying that system don't work, and that one is saying that one doesn't work every year and every day and every time. Going back and forth for what this is not suitable, that's not suitable, this doesn't work. All of that is just a what? All it is just a makeup for you to believe in, to think that what? Those parties are upon opposite sides, but in actuality, they're all the same and they're all together. It's all a trick. But you will notice if you go back to the history of democracy, it was made and actually made up by the secularists. The secularists made it, and they put it in the Muslim countries to divide their countries up and to divide them into different parties, into different schisms, and different sects, and different parties. You see it here now. You made now the people into what? Parties. They're not united. They're different groups. You got Democrats, you got what? Republicans. Different groups. Even though they're all the same at the end of the day. And they all go out to golf and laugh and all those other things. But at the end of the day, that's what they put in your minds. To keep the what? To keep the security here in the land. To make that if you want that put that fool in the office, that's your fault, you voted for him. It's a mind trick. So you can feel bad at the end. Don't feel bad at us. You feel bad because you voted for him. That's to keep what? Everything what? Keep everything in order. So you can never revolt against the government, ever. So the things that's happening in the Muslim countries, they don't take place here because you voted for them, you take the blame. You understand? So that's what we're saying, that the secularists is the ones who came up with this ideology of democracy, and they put it in the Muslim lands to divide their lands up and to divide the people, to make them divided. And to so-called now say that the hukm li-sha'b, that the ruling is for the people. Well, we know that Allah Ta'ala has only legislated that legislations are made by Him alone. And if you take legislation, which is a type of Tawheed, which we'll talk about inshallah, and you put it in the hands of the people, that is a type of polytheism, which Allah Ta'ala is talking about in His book, of where people now legislate laws, where if now you gave the right, which is only for Allah, now you're giving it to the people, which is a type of polytheism. Where now the legislations are made and sanctioned by the people, where you even find that they're called Rijal al-Tashri'. They're called legislative members, where they legislate laws. Those laws, you have to know Tawheed from the meaning of monotheism. Ya ma'ashal ikhwa, is that the only one that legislates is Allah Ta'ala, not the people. It cannot be power to the people. That opposes the religion. That opposes the monotheism of Allah. Because out of the pure monotheism of Allah is that there is no power to the people. The power as far as legislation is for Allah alone. And that's part of monotheism and purifying it. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Is it clear what I'm saying? Because if you don't understand what I'm saying, you'll be like those Muslims who's left and right on the internet talking about something. We voted for so-and-so this year. Huh? We voted for so-and-so this year. Even the kuffar know. The non-Muslims are laughing at you. And I laugh at them. It's sad because you feel sorry for the Muslims that do that, because even the non-Muslims are laughing at you. They're taking you as a joke. They know that there are people out there who voting that don't understand what they're saying in their debates, knowing the different types of terms that they're using. They know that the average person, the educated person in America, from the hood or whether they be rich or what have you, do not understand their terms. Because you have to study in order to know what they're talking about. So now a person, what you going to now? Are you going to now elect a person based upon the fact he sounds good? Keep it down there if you can, brothers and sisters, some of the kids. So what are you now? The average person that looks at these debates amongst these people that's supposed to be now murashahun, those who are supposed to be murashah, those who are supposed to be elected, or now they are now people that will be elected, so-called. They know when you turn on the TV, you looking at them, they don't they're saying terms and it's going way over your head. What is he talking about? Some of the different terminologies they're using, some of the different politics, they know that a lot of that stuff is going way over the heads of the people. The average person that clicks on the channel, listens to it, I don't even understand what he talks. He sounds good, though. Yeah, I'll vote for him. Yeah, he sounds real eloquent. Let's vote for him. I ain't understand. You understand what he said? I ain't understand a word. I understand some things, but I ain't understand the legislation part, whatever he was talking about. So you based in electing a person based upon the fact that he's eloquent in his speech? Did you truly understand what he's saying? He could have been mockery in your face and you don't understand, which has been done in some of those debates. But you didn't understand what they were saying. Where I've had people that broke down to me, these people be making mockery to you. And you don't understand what they're saying because you don't understand the terminologies they're using. You don't understand it. And you vote for him. So how stupid do you look? This man made mockery to your face and another and using terms, and you end up voting for him. Make any sense? Somebody make a mockery of you to your face. What we're going to do to you. I'm going to humiliate you. I'm going to come with a system that's going to humiliate you and your family. He just said it in a very decorated manner that you didn't understand went over your head, and you ended up voting for him because he sounds good. Does it make sense? That's why we say to the brothers and sisters involved in this nonsense, stay away from it. Because they even know that your vote is, at the end of the day, is meaningless. Why? Because they know that they know that you know that you don't know what they're more than likely what they're saying. They know that. They take that into consideration. These people don't understand. They're not educated to know what we're talking about in these debates. A lot of them, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what we're speaking about. They know that. So you're going to go to the poll, vote for them. And what you voting for? I listened to sound. He sounded all right when I heard him last night in the speech or whatever. You understand, everyone? The main thing that is worse than all that, like we said, at the end of the day, the main thing that's the worst of affairs, like we said, is that when you believe that this system is better for the servants and the people, that's the party, especially in the affairs of what, like we talked about, and now believing that there's power to the people, where sanctions or legislations or systems are now made by the people, that is polytheism in the aspect of legislation. Notice, and we'll talk about the chapter, Ya Ma'ashal Ikhwa, that there's kufr. The person falls into disbelief if he follows those if he follows those people in those laws that they legislated that opposes what Allah has said, of course. If they fall into kufr, the followers, not the people who legislated it. As I talked about this before. Keep in mind that those who follow these laws that have been man-made, that of course that opposes what Allah and His messages say, you follow the laws, you fall into polytheism. What about the people who actually legislated? What do you really think that their sin is? If you fall into major polytheism and just following these laws that oppose Kitaab and Sunnah, you fall into following, that's disbelief as we call, as we'll talk about in the chapter that's going to come. What do you think will be this the magnification, or if you want to say, excuse me, the magnitude of sin for the people who actually legislated? What do you think their level of sin is? I'll say it one more time. If the people who are the ones who's under their jurisdiction, under their laws or whatever, the people, you'll find a chapter that they fall into major polytheism by those laws or legislations that opposes what Allah has sent down. That the people, common folk, fall into disbelief, nullify their Islam, or nullify the Shahada. What do you think is the magnitude of sin for the people who actually legislated and made it? Exactly. On a whole nother level, right? That's the reason why we always tell the people to what? Stay away from the politics. That is the 3 jahiliyat that the Muslims have now lived today. Number 1, the ilm al-kalam. The first is that we said. Second, the jahiliyah of Sufiya. And the jahiliyah of what? Of the ilm al-qanun. The knowledge that was pertaining especially to laws and legislations and all those other matters. Mumtaz. The different governmental structures that are made, which is in opposition to Islam, and what the Muslim believes, which is unification not only of Allah and His worship, but from the type of worship that you unify Allah in, which is the legislation. Where a lot of the Muslims have what? Do not understand and comprehend. And like I said, just how I've explained it, all this stuff doesn't make sense from beginning to end. You watching somebody on TV, he sounds good, and I'll go to the poll and vote for him. Even though you didn't understand a lot of the things and the policies that he's made and the different types of terminologies he even talked about. You went way over your head. Then you bring your child, you will vote too. Who am I voting for? Vote for who I will vote for. Okay. Absolute no sense. Doesn't make any sense. The only legislation of how a leader is elected is what Allah to with the Allah and His Messenger, how they legislate to how a leader is supposed to be made for people. That's what makes sense. So those are the 3 types of jahiliyat that you have to have knowledge of, and which we're teaching the people now. Which we talked about, the Umar al-Khattab said that if you don't have knowledge of these affairs, this is how your Islam will become what? That your bond of Islam, what keeps you bonded, will become weaker and weaker until what? Until there's none left of it. If you do not know, for the one who comes up in Islam, he doesn't know the jahiliyat. As we know that the Athar of Umar al-Khattab, what he said in that tremendous Athar, what did he say, everyone? إنما تنقض عرى الإسلام عربة عروة من نشأ في الإسلام ولا يعرف الجاهلية. He said, verily the bonds, it keeps it firmly bonded of Islam. He said, verily it will be now made loose. تنقض عرى الإسلام. The bonds of Islam that keep you bonded will now become apart. It will go apart, bit by bit. He said, whoever is brought up in Islam and he does not know Jahiliyyah. Whoever comes up in Islam, he doesn't know the Jahiliyyat. Comes up in Islam, he knows, AbdurRazzaaq, just focus on Tawheed. Don't talk about shirk. Just focus on the good. Don't talk about the bad. Just focus on the good. You hear what Umar al-Khattab clearly said. He said that the bonds of Islam will become loose until they were even to the point where they'll be what? Broken. For the one who comes up in Islam and he doesn't know what? Doesn't know the Jahiliyat. From the Jahiliyat is what you wrote in your books. Why? In order for you to what? Stay on guard against falling into it. The only way you can stay on guard against falling into something is you have knowledge of it. Right or wrong? So that is the reason why we said, Ya Ma'ashal Ikhwa, we talk about these different type of Jahiliyat. From the Jahiliyat of what took place from before, especially what the author is talking about right now, is the Jahiliyat of how shirk, of course we know, crept into the people, within the belief system of the people, based upon extremism. And that's what happened with the people of the book. If you go back to the ayah, look at your books, everyone. I had to make a side point. It's very important. If you go back to your books, as we said, the whole book of Allah, with the Allah, one has to realize, as we said, is filled with refutations. Filled with refutations. From the ayah is here right now, Surah An-Nisa, ayah number 171. Allah with the Allah clearly says, O people of the book, do not go to the extremes in your religion. Do not go to the extremes in your religion. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is refuting extremism. Allah with the Allah is refuting extremism. extremism in statement, extremism in action, and extremism in belief. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is refuting all of that. And you'll find, not only did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refute that in his book, he also refuted that in the authentic sunnah of his messenger, alayhi salatu wasalam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, either in his book directly or upon the tongue of the messenger of Allah in the authentic sunnah, you'll find them condemning ghulu, condemning extremism. Because it's what destroyed the people of the past and it's what's destroying people today. People being raised above their level or being disrespected, where Allah did give them some status. Either going being too extreme, either raising them above their level that Allah didn't give them, or a certain level that they gave them, and they now started to what? Now they started to the point where they started to make mockery of them and even kill some of them and also disrespect and not show that reverence to them even though they deserve some type of respect. In which happened to the Jews and the Christians, both. And you'll find that Allah Ta'ala, as we said in this book, if you look in the ayah, it says, what everyone? La taghlu fi dinikum. Do not go to the extremes in your religion. Do not say upon Allah except the haqq. Verily, Isa ibn Maryam is the message of Allah. Ya ma'ashal ikhwa, if you contemplate on the ayah, verily Isa ibn Maryam is the message of Allah, in that one sentence is a refutation against two sects. Verily, Isa ibn Maryam is the message of Allah. There's a refutation that one ayah against two sects. Firstly, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says Jesus, the son of Mary, that's a refutation against the Christians. Why? Because Allah is now ascribing Isa, because we know if a person is born in a correct manner, he's ascribed to his father. He's ascribed to the father, Muhammad ibn Ahmed. Or for example, what's your father's name? Yahya. Never mind. Well, whoever. You can say Yahya ibn Jeffrey, whoever. Who cares about your father? But the most important thing that we're trying to say is that if a person was born, we know that he is ascribed to his who? His father. However, when Allah mentions Isa, he always ascribes him to his who? His mother. Why? Why? He doesn't have a father. He has no father. And if Allah was his father, he would have been ascribed to him. And Allah Ta'ala never ascribes Isa to who? To himself. Rather, he ascribes it to who? His mother. So who's that a refutation against? Christians. The Christians. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Then Allah says, Rasulullah. Message of Allah. Who was he refuting in the ayah? The Jews. Why? They deny the messengership of the Prophet of Isa. So Allah Ta'ala is refuting two people who went and saw to those two extremes that we say shaitan, and every time and every place tries to make one fall into, either being too hot or too cold. Those who go raise Isa above his level to a point he was a deity, and those who disrespect Isa to the point where they even make mockery of him, or to the point where they even tried to kill him, and even to the point where they even diminish his status or bring his status down to as if he's not even a messenger, nor he deserves it, nor do we believe it. See the two extremes? See it, everyone? Is it clear what I'm saying? Caden? I told you I'm going to change Cade. Cade. I'm going to change that name. I'll talk about it later. Taib. You don't want to use some Cade. Cade means a plot. But at any rate, but you understand, everyone? Don't worry. I have a good name for you. Taib. But is it clear what I'm saying so far? Is it clear? So keep in mind, Ya Ma'ashal Ikhwa, the book of Allah is filled with refutations against all falsehood. All you have to do is just be able to study it, realize it, and you'll see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has refuted so many deviant sects, so many people from the munafiqeen, the kuffar, the mudhabdhibeen, those who try to play both sides of the fence. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refutes all of them. The people who lie, the people of kufr, the people of ilhad, the people of the munafiqeen, those who resemble the munafiqeen, The Christians, the Jews, the people worship time, all those other different people. And in this ayah, you see it clearly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in one sentence is refuting two sects from the sects that there are. That's not, of course, not from the fold of Islam, but from the groups of Kufr, who are the Jews and the Christians. But the Christians, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly says, he is what? He is Jesus, the son of Mary, or Masih. Jesus, the son of Mary, which is a refutation against the Christians, and he's the messenger of Allah, is a refutation against who? The Jews. To let you know that those who truly give respect and reverence to Isa as he deserves is the Muslimun, as-Salafiyun, Ahl-Hadith, At-Tawheed. Other than that, there's no one else that respects Isa as he ought to be deserved, or as he deserves respect. There's no one else that respects him in a proper manner than the Muslimun, as-Salafiyun, Ahl-Hadith, Ahl-Tawheed, and those who have true knowledge and understanding. Other than that, the Christians raise him above his level, which is a type of mockery, and then likewise the Jews likewise diminish his status, where that's another type of form of mockery. Is this clear what I'm saying, everyone? So that's the reason why we take time out to learn these affairs in these classes, because you see how important they are. So that's the reason why you'll find in the ayah where it says, Rasulullah. Now we talked about last class, we said the meaning of Masih. We said the meaning of it, right, everyone? I don't think I need to repeat it, do we? So I did. I said the meaning of Masih. They say one of the meanings of Messiah means that he used to wipe over the what? The sick, and they used to be cured. That was the meaning of Masih. I'll get into the other meanings later. But that's one of the meanings. I talked about the meaning of Masih in regards to the Dajjal, because he's also called the Masih. He is. The Antichrist, what they call him. For that, we talked about the reason why he's called Masih. Not because he's someone righteous or someone that... Rather, he will have the ability to bring life back to the dead by the permission of Allah, but it will be a fitna for the people, because he will claim that he's a deity and he's a Lord. But anyway, we talked about the meaning of why he's called Masih, based upon those two reasons, which is what, everyone? Because they say that he's going to now wipe the earth, meaning he's going to cover it, and traverse 40 days or 40 nights. He's going to cover the whole earth, except Mecca and Medina. But he'll cover the earth, all of it, in 40 days. And we talked about that one day will be like a what? Like a year. One day will be like a month. Then one day will be like a what? Week. And the rest of the days will be like the rest of the days of which we know. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Another reason why it's called Masih, because we said his right eye is what? Is wiped out totally. What did I say in the last class, though? The other one has a deficiency in it. Why I say that is because there is a narration that says he's wiped out in his right eye, and he's wiped out in his left eye, too. There's narrations that say that. It's both. There's Sahih Muslim. I went over this whole chapter. Trust me. There's a narration that says, Huwa mamsuhul ayn al-yusra. He's wiped out in his left eye. So some people, like we said, the enemies of Islam try to come to these narrations and say, see, Muslims, you guys have contradictions in your religion. One says right eye wiped out, one says left eye. Which one is it? I thought he's supposed to be called the one-eyed liar. Contradictive. Tayyib. As we said, like before, brothers, the Ahl Ilm has come to all these narrations, and walillahi alhamd, you'll find his answers to all of this. So the scholars of Islam have all came and explained all this before us. So we don't need to worry about any contradictions. As I said before last class, when they came to these narrations, number one, the science of nasikh wal mansukh, of something being abrogated in the thing that nasikh meaning the thing that did the abrogation was the abrogator, if you want to say for lack of better words. Mansukh is the thing that was abrogated. Do we say that in regard to these narrations? No. Why? Because we know that there's principles to nasikh and mansukh. Firstly, number one, we have to know what's the nasikh. What's the thing that abrogated it? Secondly, we need to know the date of the nasikh. When did it take place? All these affairs need to be known, and it's not known here. So that throws that out the box. So you cannot say this hadith of his left eye has been wiped out is abrogated. No, it isn't. Then you have the second thing, what they call yusaru ila tabjih bain al-riwayat. That now that we what? That we now say that the narrations that we say that one is weak and one is authentic. Can we do that here? We say no, because both of them are authentic. As you'll find that the qawaid, as they say, لا يصار إلى الترجيح إذا أمكن الجمع. I want you guys to understand these principles. That you'll never resort to make a tarjih between the narrations, one being authentic over the other, one is weak and one is authentic, what have you, if you're not able to gather between the narrations. Here you can gather between them. Because we know that the say it's better to work by all the narrations of the Prophet ﷺ by canceling them out and working by one. Rather you can what? Gather between them. So they say in this answer to this, that's what I said last class. We said that the Masih ad-Dajjal, when the narrations comes that his right eye is wiped out and his left eye is wiped out, that is pertaining to what, everyone? That one eye is totally wiped out. As the Prophet ﷺ said, Inna rabbakum la yakhfa alaykum. Inna rabbakum laysa bi'a'war. It says in the narration. And if I was to get to that narration that your Lord is not hidden from you, then that has a lot of benefits in it. I'll talk about that later. Inna rabbaka laysa la yakhfa alaykum. Your Lord is not hidden from you. I'll talk about that later. That narration itself is indication to Tawheed. But at any rate, talk about that later. He says, your Lord is not one-eyed. So that's a clear evidence of proof that the Masih ad-Dajjal, what, everyone? One eye is totally, absolutely, completely what? Wiped out. So what is the answer in regards to the left eye? As we said, that the second eye, he can see out of it, but he has some deficiency in it. That he's ma'ib al-ayn al-yusra. That the left eye has some deficiency. So that's how they gather between what? Both narrations. That one eye is totally what? Wiped out, and the second eye has some what? Deficiency. And that's the meaning when he said that the second eye, or the left eye, has what? Has ma'iba, that has deficiency in it. To let you know that what? That the Masih ad-Dajjal and both of his eyes are messed up, but one he can see where it has some type of sight left in it for him to see. Because there's no narrations that proves it shows that he's what? Blind. Which shows that there is some type of sight in one of those eyes that he will see out of, even though it's deficient. Is it clear? Clear what I'm saying? Jay. Talk about the rest of that in the chapter that comes in Masih ad-Dajjal. That's one of my favorite chapters anyway, by the way. So we say this here, ma'ash al-ikhwa. In regards to now, what happened to Masih ad-Dajjal? What happened with Masih ibn Maryam? So number one, he used to wipe over the what? He used to wipe over the leopard and they become cured. Or he used to wipe over the sick or the dead. And in certain instances, he also used to wipe on people who was dead. And they come back to life, in which Allah Ta'ala clearly said, you did this by my permission. Which it says in the last page, it's Surah Al-Ma'idah, and the page before the last page of Surah Al-Ma'idah. Just read that whole page. Not the last page of Surah Al-Ma'idah, the page before the last page. Allah Ta'ala says, all throughout that ayah, you brought the life back to the by my permission. You cured the so-and-so by my permission. You cured the leopard by my permission. You did this by my permission, to the end of it. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? So now if you go back to the ayah, Allah Ta'ala says, Inna al-Masih ibn Maryam Rasulullah wa kalimatuhu. We said last class, what's the meaning of kalima? His word. What did we say the meaning of it is, Camden? His word. What did we say that the meaning of kalimatuhu? That the meaning of the ayah is that he was created by the word be, not that he was the word be. The words of Allah is not created. Is it clear what I'm saying? The speech of Allah is not created. The kalam of Allah is not makhluk. Rather, Isa was a creation from the creations. That Allah created. That he was created by the word be. That's it. No more, no less. That's the meaning of the ayah. That's why Allah called him in the chapter in the ayah. I don't think it's in your books. If you go back to the Mus'haf, the rest of the ayah is in there. That Isa was created by the word be. That's the meaning that he was his word. Or that he is his word, excuse me. Meaning that Isa was created by the word be, and he was created without a father. As the Christians call it, the Immaculate Conception. Yes, he was conceived immaculately. However, but it was due to what? It was due to by Allah Ta'ala wanted to show his ability and how he completely could do whatever he wants to even create a human being without intimacy and without a father. And that it could be blown directly inside the womb of the mother. This is a form of what you would think, which is what they call the immaculate conception, as the Catholics call it. However, here we refute them by saying that Jesus was not the Word. Rather, he was created by the word be. That's the meaning of the ayah. The Christians mix it up because they don't have any qawaid. They don't have any principles to work by when they look in their Bible. They don't have any. There is no qawaid. There is no principles. Just read it based upon what suits their emotions. Let's take it. As for Ahlul Sunnah, we not only have clear evidences and proofs, but we have principles that also what? So we can stand by so we can know what they mean and the proper meanings of it, which is to let you know and love what you're upon even more. Because everything I'm saying makes sense. That's based upon the qawaid of what? Of what the Ahlul Millah, Ahlul Ilm, what they bring. To show you that the meaning of these ayahs, that Isa was just created by the word be, and that is. And that when Isa was what? Created. And that makes sense. But to now say that he was the word be, that Isa was the word, that's when it starts to become confusing in the minds of the people. So you're not going to say so that was the word of Allah that was created, and the Allah's creation he was the word that was created. Which one is it? That's confusing. So now you say where it says he was his word, and he was also what? Kalimatu alqaha ila Maryam. And he's a spirit from him. Listen to the next qa'idah that we said. What was the other principle that we said? When you see these type of statement, or you see this type of kalam or ayat in the book of Allah, what do we say this? Spirit from him. What does that mean, everyone? A part of Allah? No. What is the meaning of it? Don't just say second category, just say what the category it is. Oh, it's the second category. What's the second category? They call that the meaning of it that Allah, if you find in these ayats, Allah connected with himself, what they call idafat al-takreem with tashrif. That they call idafatun iktasabat al-tashrif. That it's a connection that has now acquired what? Something showing that something is honorable with Allah, or something that has high status, or something that has some type of what? Something that's unique and that stands out about it. That's it. Is it clear what I'm saying? I even read what Shaykh Uthaymeen says this in this regard. He gives an example to him. He even says this. He says, Ruhun min is exactly what we were just saying. He said, إنه عز وجل جعل عيسى عليه السلام كغيره من بني آدم من جسد وروح وأضاف روحه إليه تشريفا من باب التشريف وتكريما كما قال في قوله تعالى في بني آدم وفي آدم ونفخت فيه من روحي. He says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made Isa just like everyone from the children of Adam, where he has a body and he has a spirit. He has a soul in his body. Allah connected his ruh, his soul, to him tashrifan. Tashrifan. Idafat al-tashrif. To show there's something unique, something special, possesses a distinguishing quality and factor about himself. That he was created without a father and without intimacy. And also likewise that the ruh was directly what? Blown into the womb without any type of what? Intimacy from a man or father or any type of what? Those type of matters in which we are accustomed and what we're acclimated to knowing how children are conceived and how they're born. طيب. So notice that even Shaykh Uthaymeen called it what? That type of connection is what they call what, everyone? Tashrif. Idafat al-tashrif. Another example is that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that about Adam. He said, pay attention, Caden, وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي. Where I blew, that Allah ta'ala said that I blew in Adam from my spirit. What do we say about this ayah? Again. First, second, or third category. We have qawaid. We have principles. So when you see these type of ayats, what do you say? That Adam was a part of Allah that broke off? Huh? Is that the meaning? Is that the meaning, everyone? Is that the meaning, Cade? He's just going along with what the crew said. Is that the meaning that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Adam, that I blew my spirit, meaning Adam, blew in you, meaning Adam, from my spirit. What does it mean? Does it mean that Adam was a spirit that broke off from Allah and was put inside a body? Is that the meaning of it or not, Caden? How would you understand these ayats when you see them? I gave you the principles. I Gave you 3. Which one is it? You wasn't writing down last class. That's the reason why I told you guys to write this stuff down. Fine, what's the second principle, everyone? Idafat al-tashrif. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying here that He wanted to show there was something special about Adam. Something unique about Adam. What is those affairs that was unique about Adam except that he was created from what? Without what? A mother or a father. Rather, Allah Ta'ala did not use any wasita. Meaning Jibreel didn't even put the spirit at Allah Ta'ala what? Did Himself. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. But not to say that the spirit was part of Allah that broke off. La. That's not the meaning. Meaning a spirit that Allah created. A spirit and a ruh that Allah created and instilled inside of Adam. And that when Allah connected it with Himself, like in this ayah, it's called idafatun iktasabat tashrif. It's called a connection that is acquired, what they call tashrif. Tashrif meaning Allah wanted to what? Show this thing is unique. It stands out. There's something honorable about it. It has a distinguishing factor about it. That this affair is something special about it. Either because he was created without a mother and father like Adam, or he was created without a father like Isa ibn Maryam. Is it clear what I'm saying or not? Is it clear or not, everyone? When you hear this knowledge and how it's presented, the human being will what? Submit to it because that absolutely makes sense. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? That's the benefit of Salafiyah and the benefit of Islam, because when you have a proper teacher and have the proper aqidah, they say things that which agrees with your fitrah. It agrees with your natural disposition, human being, to say that makes sense. That's easy to understand, of course. That's because you'll find that the Salafiyah, what? It agrees with your natural disposition, and it agrees with what? Well, what's supposed to be known as far as in the affairs, especially of i'tiqad, of belief system. Makes sense. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Not to say that in certain affairs, that in which we'll talk about also, especially in pertaining to Allah, there are certain things that's beyond our comprehension. As we know. Some of the things that are beyond our comprehension. Like we talked about, and I gave examples of this. As pertaining to Allah, something to the affairs of Allah, what they call matalib al-ilahiyah, things or the affairs that pertaining to Allah is beyond our comprehension. The person would say, well, wasn't that type of blind faith that Christians follow? We say no. Rather, Allah Ta'ala and the Sahaba knew that these affairs were sacred. Because you cannot fathom or comprehend something that can hear everything in the heavens and the earth simultaneously. Can you fathom that in your mind? I'm asking. Can you comprehend in your mind something that can see everything in the heavens and the earth simultaneously? Everything in the heavens and earth. And understand all the different languages that they have simultaneously. That is to show that if you cannot understand Allah's characteristics, you will not be able to understand His what? Essence. As Shaykh al-Islam mentions in his qa'idah, al-kalam fi al-sifat, far'un an al-kalam fi al-dhat, yuhtada fihi hadwahu. As he says in his principle. He says, the kalam fi al-sifat, speaking about Allah's characteristic, is a branch for talking about His essence. They emulate each other. What does he mean by that, everyone? Meaning that if you cannot understand His characteristics, which you can, and you cannot comprehend His characteristics, how in the world do you think you could comprehend His essence? If you cannot comprehend that there's an essence that can see everything simultaneously, that can hear everything simultaneously, that has knowledge of everything simultaneously, has knowledge of everything before it was created, and has all wisdom in every aspect, all ability, all domination, all might, all powerful, all complete, in every aspect. And you cannot comprehend or fathom that in any way, shape, form, or fashion. All the needs of the creation that make dua for Him. Allah Ta'ala knows what they need before they even need it, before they even make dua. Allah Ta'ala has knowledge of it, you cannot comprehend it. If you cannot comprehend His sifat, it's for all the more reason that you will never be able to comprehend His what? His essence. So there are certain affairs that what? We do not delve into. They're too sacred and it's way beyond the comprehension of the human being. And Allah Ta'ala has bounded the senses of the human being, in which Shaykh al-Islam says this. There's not a human being on the face of the earth that even all of us admit and recognize that all of our senses are all bounded to a certain extent, and it doesn't go beyond that. Our sight sees to a certain extent, stops. Our hearing goes to a certain extent, stops. So why don't you think your brain is likewise like that? Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Clear. Let you know that your senses and your brain is bounded to a certain extent. Allah made it that way. Why? So you can now use your brain in order to benefit you in preparation for the hereafter. In worship of Allah, no more, no less. We'll stop here. Like, there's other things I wanted to talk about with Sufiya, but I didn't get a chance to talk about it. Like, we'll stop here. Tafadal. I forgot your name. Suleiman.